tell us about the buyback principle and tell us about the buyback loop.
Yeah. So the buyback principle states this, and this is where people are going to get a little, once they hear it, I'm like, suspend disbelief for a second. You don't hire people to grow your business. You hire people to buy back your time. It's a calendar over capacity problem. Because if you do the first, hire people to grow your business, you don't get the second. And if you do the second, you get the first.
How so? And how are those two things different?
They're completely different. If I run a logo design company, I'm going to hire another logo designer. What you should do is look at your calendar and say, what am I doing that is not logo design?
Right.
And have people support you on everything else that's not logo design, because that is your core business.
Right.
So when I think of a home builder, and trust me, I loved work. My brother, he was my business partner. I didn't tell him many people, but I was his business partner. So we would meet daily about this stuff. So we had to create all these systems to make sure he was focused on the business of building homes, not getting pulled into being a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what does that mean? It means, first off, Pierre, you need an executive assistant. Do you realize how hard he pushed? Dude, he pushed on me so hard. I don't need an executive assistant. I need somebody that's a site supervisor. I said, no, you don't. You're the site supervisor, ding dong. You know how to do this. You manage it. Have somebody else go run around, pick up stuff for you. Why are you spending 2-3 days a week, literally 2 or 3 days a week, running errands, buying stuff, purchasing things, like just the weirdest things they would do? When you actually audit your calendar, okay, for time and energy, you'd find the weirdest thing that people accept themselves to do. Taking photos on sites. It's like, dude, you don't need to do any of that. You need to go make sure the trades are lined up, the work's being done right, and then all the social media stuff, all the purchasing stuff, all the invoices. We created this crazy cool system where it was like a color coding timestamp process where we knew based on what the average phases of a home build is, right? Then we broke it down into 7. How much money should we have been invoiced by our trades to have a red, green, yellow if the construction draws and all this? Like, dude, I had to learn about construction. I didn't want to learn it, but I'm just a systems guy. So that part is where people don't get it, is they shouldn't hire folks to do more of the work. First, they should buy back their time because they're the experts.
Right.
And only once you filled up that capacity in regards to administrative, even hiring a runner. I mean, literally, some of these people should just hire somebody that goes out around the sites all day, ask people what they need, go make the purchases so that the people that need to be on site doing the work stay on site and do the work. And then you work your way backwards, but it's always through the lens of your calendar. So that's the buyback principle.
So, but this is a really important distinction because a lot of people would sort of listen to podcasts, read books, go to conferences, and they'd get all this messaging about who they ought to hire next. So you want to grow, you need to hire a marketing person, you need to hire a salesperson, you need to hire an estimator, you need to hire a project manager. And it's not to say that all that is wrong necessarily, but they're thinking about it in terms of nodes on the system that is their org chart. I got to go plus, plus, plus. Not wrong, but what you're saying is forget about that. Just literally look at the calendar and see where the lowest leverage crap is, and then just pay someone to do that, and sort of like rinse and repeat until
it's literally the buyback loop, right? The buyback loop states we should do a time and energy audit. So step 1 is audit.
What is that?
So the buyback loop is essentially what you do when you feel pain. So most entrepreneurs get to a point where they're actually successful, but they feel the pain. And what I've learned a long time ago is entrepreneurs will not grow into pain. So the mission I'm on is to help entrepreneurs build businesses they don't grow to hate. Okay, so the people that shut down, it's not because the market wasn't there, is they built their business in a way they didn't know any better, and they decide, I'm going to shut it down. This hurts. I don't want to do this anymore. So what the buyback loop is essentially the antidote to that. And once you feel the pain line, then you go through this 3-step process, and that's how you spin forward, okay? So the first step is audit. We have to look at our calendar and audit it for the last 2 weeks on time and energy. The second step is transfer. Take everything that's low cost to pay somebody to do that you hate doing, and you give that to somebody else. You transfer it to them. Okay. So most people that are starting businesses don't know how to delegate. Benji, they literally don't know how to teach somebody how to do something. So let's start with some low stakes stuff. Right. Do I want to delegate somebody managing a home build for me as my first hire? Or do I want to hire somebody that can manage running
an inbox?
Errands? Yeah. Inbox. Purchasing stuff on the internet for me. Let's start low stakes. And then the third part of the buyback loop is fill, is once I get this time back, what do I then reinvest it in? Because some people waste it. They buy back the time, and then they just drag their, oh my gosh, it's wasteful. I honestly have, I Yeah. It gets to me because I'm like, look, your job is to create an empire, and an empire is a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from. That's why we start businesses, is to have the financial freedom for our families. So if you get an hour back, 2 hours back, 3 hours back a day, you should know exactly what you're going to do with those 3 hours to become a better version of you so that you can grow the business.
This method has baked into it the idea that you, the entrepreneur, fundamentally will know what's best to do next. You're giving yourself time under the assumption that you'll know how to deploy that time in the way that facilitates growth. And so that's where it's like, hey, you know what? At this, and I'm sure you think about this in terms of rungs or tiers.
Yeah.
At entry level, I'm hiring an executive assistant. Maybe a few years in the future, I'm hiring an estimator. Maybe a few years in the future, I'm hiring someone else. But is it safe to assume that pretty much, like, do you still do this in your business?
3 times a year. I just did it 2 weeks ago.
Right. So it doesn't change. Like this works at scale.
It's a principle. These are first principles.
Okay.
I'm a software physics guy.
Yeah.
This is a methodology that you can follow. It's how I've scaled all my companies. That's why I wrote this book. I wrote the book to buy back my time, because people will come to me and
keep asking you.
They go, how do you do all this? Like, literally. And I get it, because if you've never seen it, it looks crazy.
Like a lot.
Dude, I did 13 podcasts, ran an Ironman, went to an NBA game, ran a 2-day event. I mean, the stuff I've done, and that was in a 4-day period.
What's the drip matrix?
Yeah, the drip matrix is essentially a process for you to think about how to fill your time, right? So the drip matrix is essentially time, like, lights you up and makes you money.
Those are the quadrants.
Yeah.
So those are the axes.
Yeah. So essentially you're in the bottom left quadrant for most people, right? I'm doing stuff I don't love to do. It doesn't make me a lot of money. We all want to end up in the top right corner, which is produce. Okay. That's the P in the drip. The bottom left is delegate. Okay. We have to just stop doing things that somebody else can do that we can pay them very little, and that we don't enjoy doing. So for most people, bookkeeping is one of those things, they probably don't light them up, and it don't cost a lot to pay somebody else to do. Cleaning your own house would be in that same bucket. I don't know many people that absolutely get, oh, we're cleaning my house today. Really excited about that. And it makes some money. It doesn't, right? So that's the bottom left quadrant, and that's the easy stuff. But then we move up to on top of that, which is the R part, which is replace. Okay. And that's the replacement ladder. So when you say, well, this is assuming people know what to do at the time they bought back, I give them the methodology in chapter 5, which is start with the admin, right? Look at the calendar. Where's the time and energy being sucked in? Then we go to delivery, right? Then we go to marketing. Then we go to sales. Then we go to leadership. So there is a methodology for
which core components of your business you should do. There is actually a hierarchical approach to it.
Because like, it's what is the least amount of investment dollars to get the next biggest swath of time back out of our calendar. That's why we start with admin, because it's the lowest cost to get the most time. Then we go to delivery, which is, okay, we want to work with our clients, the account management side, whatever it is, that's a low cost to have a lot more time back. Then we focus on marketing, then we focus on sales, and we focus on leadership. So that's the replace side. So that's the D in the drip, right? So that stuff will make you more money, but may not light you up as much. There's still things in there you're doing that you'd rather not do, but you got to earn the right to wake up every day doing things you love doing and makes you a lot of money. Okay. That's what my life looks like today. I didn't start there. I had to earn my stripes. I had to put in the time. The right side is invest. That's the I in drip. Invest is what you invest your time to grow. See, most people wish the world was easier. I'm saying you need to be better. It doesn't get easier. You need to invest in becoming the person who can deal with a bigger team, who can understand marketing, who can do strategic planning, who can do all the stuff that right now you can't do. You need to go invest and build these skills up. And as you do that, you get to work your way up that kind of the ladder and to the right of the quadrant until you'll wake up. And it's not far away. Benji, I have clients that start with me and within 3 months they get there, because it's only 4 or 5 hires.
Yeah.
Okay. They just need to give themselves permission to hire in that sequence. But you will wake up where everything in your calendar, it's not 10-hour days, it's 7-hour days, 6-hour days, but a good 6 hours, like a really thoughtful 6 hours. And everything on there are things that you love doing that actually move the business forward. And when you get to that place, that is what an empire is, a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from. There's no retiring from being me. I'm doing exactly what I want to do, who I want to do it with, and I've just given myself permission to continuously audit my calendar for that.
Listen, if you like that clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here. If you're not yet subscribed, you probably should be, and you can do that by clicking right here.